Good evening. It's called UK Central and it would make Birmingham one of Europe's most important gateways by road, high-speed rail and air. The ambitious 50-year plan, backed by local business and political leaders, would include a second runway at the airport. Managers there will unveil on Monday their recommendations to the Commission currently examining UK airport policy.
A major report by the West Midlands Economic Forum has identified global transport connections as the key to the region's economic regeneration. Our political editor, Patrick Burns, has this exclusive report.
An engine of economic growth, or should an airport merely meet existing economic demands? On Monday, managers here will submit to the Commission, headed by Sir Howard Davies, plans including a new terminal incorporating the proposed high-speed rail interchange.
High-speed rail is an important element because it will put a third of the UK population within about an hour of our check-in desk, and that starts to give you some pretty serious critical mass, which means you can attract those very long-haul flights.
Work is already well advanced on the runway extension to enable non-stop flights to the emerging economies of the Pacific Rim and Latin America. The airport wants the government to designate it one of 3 regional hubs, handling 4 times its present passenger numbers. But could this be just the start?
I understand the airport are coming under mounting political pressure to be bolder still, to couple their existing proposals to a possible second runway here. On a largely brownfield site, it's currently a refuse tip, surrounded by relatively thinly populated areas. It would transform Birmingham into a major, possibly the major UK hub airport.
A second runway would enable the existing one closer to heavily built-up areas to close overnight and connect the airport to high-speed rail. The runway near the junction of the M6 and the M42 at Packington presents the West Midlands Economic All-Party group of MPs with an opportunity for some real blue skies thinking.
For every million passengers, you have 1,000 jobs. So if we have a capacity at Birmingham Airport of, at the moment of 9 million passengers and 9,000 jobs, if it goes to 60 million passengers, that's 60,000 jobs. Immediately, you've got a huge number of employment opportunities.
But the Green Party, who captured seats off the Conservatives in last month's elections in neighbouring Warwickshire, dislike airport expansion even more than high-speed rail.
I think Birmingham Airport have drawn up some macho plans, but they've been drawn up by economic dinosaurs. The main economic benefits from air are actually what people do when they get here. Most people are going to be getting off on a big fast train to London on HS2, not doing business here in the West Midlands, which we want.
The Davies Commission is due to publish interim recommendations narrowing down the number of serious airport policy options before the end of this year.
Well, Patrick's here now. Wow, certainly ambitious. You mentioned the political support for this project. How significant is that?
Very significant at 2 levels actually, Nick, because as we've seen there's all-party political support at Westminster, but no less importantly local politicians, local MPs and councillors. These are the people who often actually come out very strongly against airport development proposals, subject to the usual concerns about the environment, mitigation, any compensation issues, that sort of thing. They are broadly on side. I think they're listening to the sorts of arguments about jobs that we've heard there from Mark Garnier.
And this possible second runway is a sort of separate later option. I mean, how critical is that?
Well, politicians like to have a bit of wriggle room, don't they? And if they can put off part of the spending decisions to another day, unlike, for example, the Thames Estuary proposal of Boris Johnson, where the money would all have to be committed up front, gives them a moment to say, right, well, we can look at phase 1 and then think about a second runway only if the economic conditions demand it.
What about the environment side of it? Because obviously, you know, the bigger the airport, the greater the noise, the greater pollution.
There will always be environmental arguments, and the Green lobby will always say that, frankly, forecasts about aviation growth are deeply flawed because we have finite fossil fuel, we have a changed economic environment. They will always say that. There are, however, some points that the supporters of this project point to, that the second runway would enable the existing one closer to built-up areas to be closed overnight. And they say the siting of this runway would mean that aircraft approaching and landing would actually be thousands of feet up over all the built-up areas in that part of the country.
And the debate about airports is dominated, isn't it, by London airports. So, is it really going to happen?
The orthodox political observers' answers would be to say they're sceptical about it because this is such a centralised country. Birmingham Airport would like us to be more like Germany with hubs all over the country, but the debate does focus on London, so the political critique would be to say, well, let's be sceptical, but we'll see. We've got 50 years to look at this one.
OK, Patrick, thanks. And Patrick will have more on this in this weekend's Sunday Politics. That's from 11 here on BBC One.
Coming up later in the programme,